LeetCode problem 17, medium level. You have a string input between 0 and 4 length, integers 2 to 9. And what you're doing is you're utilizing this mapping here in the problem statement to make all the possible combinations and then return them in a list. We're going to jump over and go through my solution, which is less than ideal, error prone, but directly iterative. And then we're going to go over the most top voted solution that is recursive. So let's jump over to VS Code now. So my problem here, if there's no input, it returns a blank list. I recreated that mapping. Here, I use lbin to store the packages or sets of characters based on the digits, and then result is just going to house the different string results, and then L is going to be the variable that just houses the length and then determines which path is going to be taken. Now this is definitely less than ideal. You're not going to want to do this if you have 10, 15 length inputs. You don't want to have 15 nested for loops. So just for this example, I'm just outlining and adding all the characters together with nested for loops, and creates all the combinations and then returning the result. So the top voted solution begins identically, but then you have the recursive function definition here nested within the method letter combinations. You're passing in the results or the combinations as you're creating them, and then you are passing in the next digits. So the next digits is utilized to gain access to the phone map sections, so keep that in mind. And how they were going through and utilizing this recursive approach is they're gaining access to each letter in a for loop based on the current digit that is within the call, and then it's calling the next recursion and passing in the combination, the existing combination plus the letter that they just gained access to, and then you're stepping forward on your input string and you're slicing off the first character and then adding in and going to the next. Just notice here how it has next digits 0 index position, so it's always going to gain access to the first available character, and here every time you're passing it in, you're slicing off the front by one integer. And so what that means is when you reach the end of the list or the input, you're going to end up hitting this length. It'll pass in a 0 length string, and then it'll add your combination to the list of outputs. Now what we'll do is we'll go through this a few times just to gain an idea or a taste for how it works. And initially here, just make note of the call stack and then make note of the variables here up in the upper left. So first of all, the next digits that are being called is the full 23, so this is the first initial call of backtrack, and your combination is nothing at this point. So you're going to start your first for loop and your first recursion here. So the first letter is going to be A, and it's gaining this by using the mapping and then the access to the first digit, which in this case is a 2. And then you're passing in actually the 3 and the existing combination. So what it is now is you have your next digit is 3. So now you're gaining access to the string DEF based on this, and then the first letter there would be D, and then you're calling it again and you're adding D to that A that was currently in the combination, and then you're going to slice it again, and now you have next digits equaling an empty string, and so you're going to add that combination to the output, and then you're going to be going and exiting out of one of the call stacks and then entering another one. And so you go through this continually until you have reached the end of the line. Then you have all the combinations, and there you have it. This is Grover, Blue Collar Codes, quick and dirty. Thanks for joining.